We have a table of data and we want to write the recursive form for it. We know that the recursive form of a function has two lines to it, and the first line comes from the first input-output in your table. So when my input is 2, my first output is 5, and that gives you the first line in your recursive formula. Now the second line always depends on the output that came before. Since f at n is my current output, which would be this if I'm looking for the second output, then f at n minus 1 represents the output that came before. So I have to do something with this output that came before to get my new output. Here's the output that came before. What am I going to do to it to get to the next output? And I need a rule that's going to work for every one that follows. So for n is greater than my first input, in this case 2. Now we've done first differences and we've done second differences, and neither one of those gives us any information on this particular table. So another thing that we could try is division instead of subtraction. So if we divide 5 by 5, we get 1. We know that this output is changing by multiplying by 1 to get to the next output. If I divide 20 by 5, then I get 4, which means I'm multiplying 5 times 4 to get to the next output. To get 180, I need to multiply 20 by 9. And to get 2,880, I need to multiply 180 times 16. So you can get that by division, just like we did the first couple. 2,880 divided by 180 is 16. 180 divided by 20 is 9. Hopefully you notice that these are square numbers, and that gives you a clue as to what you're multiplying by every time. They're a little bit easier to see. The pattern is easier to see if you rewrite these square numbers in a simpler form. We know that we can get 1 by just squaring the number 1, but we can get 4 by squaring the number 2. We get 9 by squaring the number 3, and 16 by squaring the number 4. And if you look at these bases, they're changing by 1. Our inputs are also changing by 1, but not the same ones. So to get this output of 5 right here, I have to take the previous output, which is 5, and multiply it by the previous input 2 removed. So it would be 3 minus 2 to get to the 1. Okay, so my current input minus 2 would give me 1, and then I have to square that and multiply it by the previous output. Let's try that again on the next one. So I want the output for 4. I want 20. I need to multiply the output that came before, which is 5, times 2 squared. So 4 minus 2 gives me the 2 that I need, and then that's going to be squared. So my current input minus 2 squared multiplied by the previous output. So that gives me 2 squared, which is 4, times 5 gives me 20. Okay, one more time. To get the output of 180, I need to multiply 20 times 3 squared. 3 is going to be 5 minus 2. So 5 minus 2 squared times 20 is going to give me the 180. So what I'm multiplying each time by the output that came before is n minus 2 squared.